Ashe Stadium is about to witness something that feels a lot bigger than a simple exhibition match. On Thursday, August 27th, Alex Eala will step onto the largest tennis stadium in the world for a one-set showdown with American teenager Iva Jovic. And the buzz around this match is getting harder and harder to ignore. Stars of the Open event begins at 6 p.m., with tickets originally advertised from just $30, yet Filipino sports coverage is reporting that the event has sold out. No ranking points are available, no tournament trophy is on the line, and still, fans are filling one of the most famous stadiums in sports. That tells us something important about how quickly Alex Eala's profile is growing. If you've been following Eala's journey from promising junior to one of the most exciting emerging names in women's tennis, you already know this story has moved incredibly fast. But what is happening around her in New York suggests that her popularity may finally be catching up with the results she's producing on the court. The event is officially called Stars of the Open, presented by Chase. The USTA has scheduled 4 one-set matches inside Ashe Stadium. Beginning Thursday evening at 6 p.m., the lineup features Amanda Anisimova against Marta Kostyuk, Shua Fonseca against Lerner Tian, Alexandra Eala against Iva Jovic, and Arthur Fils against Alex Michelson. A portion of ticket proceeds will support the USTA Foundation and its tennis and education programs for young people in under-resourced communities. So why is the Eva Jovic matchup attracting so much attention? Start with the venue. Ashe Stadium can hold more than 23,000 spectators, making it the largest tennis stadium in the world. This isn't some small fan week court tucked away inside the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center. Eala is walking into the same enormous arena that hosts the biggest nights of the US Open, and she's doing it before the actual singles tournament has even begun. There's another reason this event stands out. The USTA didn't build the entire night around established Grand Slam champions. Instead, it deliberately chose young players who represent the next generation of tennis stars. Eala was one of the 4 original headline names announced alongside Fonseca, Jovic, and Tien. The rest of the lineup was later completed with Anisimova, Kostyuk, Fils, and Michelson. The official event description specifically highlighted the ability of Eala and Fonseca to draw massive crowds, including strong support from Filipino and Brazilian fans. And that detail matters. The USTA isn't simply giving Eala a spot because she's competing at the US Open. She's being positioned as one of the faces of Fan Week. When you look at what has happened around Eala during the North American hardcourt season, that decision starts to make a lot more sense. Her popularity has been rising alongside her ranking, her results, and her ability to connect with an audience far beyond the traditional tennis market. Then came the latest ranking milestone. On August 24th, Eala climbed to a career-high world number 18. She moved 2 places above her previous ranking, and more importantly, became the highest-ranked Southeast Asian woman in WTA singles history. She moved past the previous regional benchmark of number 19, jointly held by Indonesia's Yayuk Basuki and Thailand's Tamarine Tanasugarn. That means Eala wasn't simply knocking on the door of the world's top 20. She had rewritten a regional record, so when she walks onto Ashe, she won't be arriving merely as a young player enjoying a promotional exhibition. She'll be a career-high number 18 player, a WTA title winner, a Grand Slam 4th rounder, and the highest-ranked Southeast Asian woman the sport has ever produced. The exhibition may not offer ranking points, but the stage itself is enormous, and Eala has earned that stage through a remarkable 2026 season. Earlier this year, she captured the Birmingham title, becoming the first Filipino player to win a WTA singles title. Then came Washington, where she produced the biggest title run of her career to that point. At the Mubadala DC Open, Eala defeated Naomi Osaka in the semifinals, before beating Jessica Pegula in the final to claim another major milestone. The WTA reported that Eala entered Washington at a career-high number 28, and would climb again after winning the tournament. And that Washington title changed the conversation around her. She was no longer simply the player who had shocked everyone with a deep run at Miami in 2025. She was proving that breakthrough wasn't a one-time thing. She had won a WTA 125 title in Birmingham, followed it with a WTA 500 title in Washington, and continued climbing the rankings. At that point, it became much harder to describe her as merely a prospect. Then came Wimbledon. Eala reached the 4th round and produced another major Grand Slam performance, defeating defending champion Iga Swiatek along the way. That result gave her another enormous international platform and showed once again that she can produce headline-making results on the biggest courts against players already established at the top of the sport. Her North American swing continued in Toronto and Cincinnati. Neither tournament ended with another title, but the bigger picture remained positive. In Toronto, Eala reached the round of 16 before losing to Belinda Bencic. In Cincinnati, she advanced to the round of 32 before falling to Amanda Anisimova. That Cincinnati loss was frustrating. Eala had won the opening set and even held an early lead in the deciding set before Anisimova turned the match around. But one loss didn't erase everything that had come before it. Just 8 days later, Eala is in New York preparing for the final Grand Slam of the season, carrying a career-high ranking and a much bigger spotlight than she had when the summer began. And that's the part of this story that really deserves attention. Her momentum isn't based on one hot tournament anymore. It's been built through a sequence of performances across different surfaces, different cities, and increasingly demanding stages. Now she gets Arthur Ashe. For many players, stepping into Ashe for the first time during a major tournament is a career moment. Eala gets to experience that atmosphere before her US Open singles campaign even begins. She'll have a huge New York crowd, a massive stage, and a familiar opponent waiting across the net. That opponent is Iva Jovic. The American teenager has also become one of the most interesting young players on the WTA Tour. She has broken into the top 20 and reached the quarterfinals of the Australian Open earlier this year. The USTA has repeatedly presented Jovic as one of the young players leading the next generation, making this matchup almost tailor-made for an event built around emerging stars. But this isn't the first time Eala and Jovic have met. They've already played twice in 2026, and Jovic won both encounters. Their first meeting came at Roland Garros, where Jovic won in straight sets. They met again at the HSBC Championships in London, and Jovic once again came away with the victory. So Thursday night has a very simple competitive storyline. Eala gets another opportunity against a player she knows extremely well, and this time she has a chance to change that head-to-head story. Of course, there is one major difference. This is an exhibition. There are no WTA ranking points available, and the format is completely different from a standard Grand Slam match. The USTA has scheduled each contest as a single set, first to 6 games. That means there is almost no room for a slow start. Every game matters immediately. For Jovic, it's a chance to play in front of a massive New York crowd as one of the faces of American tennis. For Eala, it's something even more personal. She'll be surrounded by Filipino supporters who have followed her journey from junior tennis through her breakthrough on the WTA Tour. Put those American and Filipino fan bases together, and Arthur Ashe could have a very distinctive atmosphere. And that brings us back to the reported ticket demand. Filipino sports reports have described Stars of the Open as sold out, while the event was initially marketed with tickets starting at $30. The official US Open information confirms the August 27th date, the 6 p.m. start time, and Arthur Ashe Stadium as the venue. What has not been publicly confirmed by the USDA is a specific resale market figure such as $140 or an exact number of tickets sold. So those figures should be treated cautiously rather than presented as official USDA data. But honestly, this story doesn't need an inflated resale number to be impressive. The verified facts are already powerful. Eala is one of the headline players selected for a major Fan Week exhibition. The event is taking place inside Arthur Ashe Stadium. Tickets were marketed from an accessible $30 price point. Filipino coverage has reported a sellout, and all of this is happening immediately after Eala reached a historic world number 18 ranking. There's a clear connection between those developments. Eala's competitive success is creating visibility, and that visibility is creating demand. Her fan base isn't limited to the Philippines either. Filipino communities across the United States have embraced her, especially in areas with large Filipino populations. New York is one of the most important places for that audience, which makes Arthur Ashe a natural stage for the next chapter of her rise. There's also a bigger business story here. Tennis players become truly marketable when their results, personality, and audience begin moving in the same direction. Eala has now reached a point where all three are gaining momentum at the same time. She has ranking momentum, recognizable achievements, and a passionate fan base willing to travel, buy merchandise, and show up in large numbers. The commercial signals have already started appearing. Nike unveiled Eala's royal blue US Open outfit, priced at $140, and also introduced a Nike court shirt carrying her name. Reports surrounding the merchandise release showed significant interest from fans. That doesn't mean every Eala product is permanently sold out, and it doesn't mean every inventory report is accurate. But it does show that brands are increasingly treating her as an athlete whose appeal extends beyond the tennis court. And remember, Eala is still only 21. Her biggest professional milestones have arrived recently, meaning her commercial growth could be happening at the same time that her competitive prime is beginning to take shape. Of course, there's a challenge that comes with all this attention. For any young player, popularity can grow faster than results can sustain it. Eala's task now is to keep those two things connected, and that's why Thursday night is more than just a fun exhibition. She gets to test herself against Jovic in a format that rewards immediate intensity. She gets to experience another enormous Arthur Ashe crowd. She gets to interact with the supporters who have followed her rise. And she gets to enter the final Grand Slam of the season with more attention than ever before. The result of one exhibition won't define Alex Eala's career, but the crowd waiting inside Arthur Ashe could tell us something important about where that career is heading. Because when a young player can turn a pre-tournament exhibition into a must-see event, the conversation has already changed. Alex Eala isn't simply arriving in New York to play tennis. She's arriving as an attraction. And now, with Arthur Ashe waiting, the question isn't whether people want to watch Alex Eala. The real question is just how far the Eala phenomenon can go.